All right, hello gamers, Mucklick here, and today we're doing a thoughts video on Avowed so far. For those who don't know, Avowed is a new RPG, very similar vein to games that are well known like Skyrim. It's a single player large world RPG, and it just recently came out, and it is in the Pillars of Eternity universe. So if you've ever heard of the game Pillars of Eternity or Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, it's in the same universe as those games. Now, I have played both of those games, and I love RPGs, so I very much wanted to try this one. I'm about 10 hours in, and I'm going to share with you all my thoughts and whether or not, based on what I know so far, it is worth your time or your money. I will do a full review after I finish the game. This is my thoughts on it so far. I'm getting asked like every couple of minutes while I am streaming this, how is it, is it worth it? And I would love to have a video to just point that question to, for the next couple of weeks. First thing, in and of itself, is we're talking about the game itself. There has been some weird drama surrounding the game. The art director for the game was going off on Twitter, crap like that. Not talking about that right now. We are talking about, is this game worth your dollar and worth your time to play it? Would you like the purchase? Okay, that's what we're talking about. Price tag. First of all, it is $70 US, but it is free on Game Pass right now. And if you've never had Game Pass before, I think they have a deal where you can get like 2 weeks of Game Pass for like $1. I already had a Game Pass subscription, so I'm basically playing the game for free, and I have not bought the game. There's buy, there's play. I don't know why I would ever hit that button when I got that button. So I've been playing it on Game Pass, and it's been fine. Okay, and that's the Xbox Microsoft Game Pass service, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about. Okay, graphics. The graphics of this game look really nice in my opinion. So right here, I am standing outside of a town. You could see it right there. Over here is the land out in front of me. The people's faces are, quite detailed. This guy's like some kind of shark person or something like that. One thing that comes to mind about this topic is their faces when they're speaking. When their faces are having a conversation, the movements of the face, in my opinion, look really good, and I'm really satisfied with it. So the graphics of the people look pretty good. The graphics of the environment look pretty good. I've seen some people make some comparisons like, oh my gosh, Skyrim, 20 years ago looked better than this. I don't know about that. Skyrim's changed a lot in the last 20 years. However, I will say, I think it looks pretty good, and the world is beautiful. I'm quite happy with it. I got no complaints there. Sound design. The songs are good. The background music is fine. There's nothing I'm like jamming out or rocking out to, but it's good. It's pleasant. When you're just out in the open world, it's like, you can hear the wind, you can hear birds, there's good ambiance, things like that. When you're in town, you hear people talking. They could maybe use having more NPCs in the town, but it's totally fine. Where it really shines, in my opinion, is the combat. Some of the combat sound design is amazing. I'm a wizard with a gun. All right, that's some of the sound design. Here's a wand. All right, that's some of the sounds that you're gonna hear in the game. Okay, I love it. I think the sound design for the combat stuff with the various weapons and all is like ear candy. I'm quite happy with it. I would say the combat sound effects from you and the enemies is my favorite part of the sound design in the game. The voices are fine and great. The ambiance is good. The music is good. The weapons and combat sounds are my favorite parts. The leveling system. Okay, so the way it works is at the beginning you pick your appearance. Now, in this game, you are someone who has basically been touched by a god, but this world has many gods, and they don't know which one. Usually, if someone is god-touched, a god kind of leaves their signature. They claim you. No one claimed you. And you get to choose some part of you that makes it obvious. You can either have like coral around the eyes, or like leaves growing in, on your scalp, or just bonkers stuff. My guy, I basically put a plank on his face because I just thought it was funny. So anytime in a conversation when it says like you arch your eyebrow, I'm just like, do I just draw it on with a marker? But it is cosmetic only. It doesn't prevent my ability to wear helmets or anything like that. Actually, I don't even think this game has a helmet slot. But you just pick something that is obvious on your face, and your people know at a glance, like you're one of these people that's been touched by a god. But you don't know which one yet, which is part of the main story. After that, you choose your background. It's like, okay, you're a full-grown adult. What have you been doing so far? Were you in the military? Were you a court mage? Were you, a lawyer? Whatever. I don't know. But basically, you choose something, and that gives you kind of some early skill points in your attributes. And you can just say, you know what, no, I don't like that, and you can move these points around. As you can see right here what they do. Might increases your damage, any type of damage, physical or magical. Constitution is hit points and resistances. Dex is attack and action speed. So like if I fire the gun, that's attack speed. Reloading it is action speed. Perception increases your range for like if you're using a bow, a gun, spells. Critical hit chance. Int is your maximum essence, that's basically a mana bar. Elemental resistances, resolve is your stamina, and second wind efficiency. Second wind is a thing that happens if you get hit and die, you will have a burst of willpower, and you will basically get one more chance. And if you die while that's on cooldown, you're dead, and you reload your game to whenever you last saved it. So that's what that is. Now, additionally, on top of getting stats, and every time you level, you get another one to spend here. You get abilities. There's a fighter, skill tree, ranger, wizard, and you can put the points anywhere. After, I'm level 5, the second row unlocked to me for all of them. I didn't have to like spend 5 points here to unlock the second row or anything like that. I started with the court mage background, so I was kind of a wizard. However, I don't really like the mana system of the game. I will come back to that. And because of that, I wanted to kind of dual class sort of thing. I tried literally every weapon I found in the game at least once, and my favorite was absolutely the arquebus, which is this big gun. And you can power attack with any weapon in the game, which is just hold down the button and you charge up a big shot. The arquebus has a long reload time, but it hits like a truck. And as long as you keep kind of dancing around in combat and moving around, you can just keep getting shots off, and it hits really, really hard. I haven't really settled on anything for my second weapon set. Right now I'm using a shield so that I can parry, and I've also got a unique dagger I've been using a bit, which basically can build up fire on enemies. Debuffs on enemies are kind of like a Souls game where it's like I hit them with fire damage and they have like a bar that fills up, and when it completely fills, then they just burst into flame. Same with poisons and things like that. You basically you build up a status ailment on them until it takes effect, and then it's on them for a while. So having a dagger with burning on it is very nice for cutting through cobwebs. There's some things that you can clear with fire damage. And if I didn't have this, I would need to use like a consumable, the equivalent of like a Molotov cocktail. Additionally, you've got your companions as well. Right now, I have found these two. These are the first two you find. Not a huge spoiler here. And this guy has an ability where I can look at something and open this wheel and just say burn that. And he can do that without using up a resource. So a benefit of having him in the party is infinite access to clear crap that's cleared by fire. Each person has something they're good at. Also, this wheel has been really good. I'm happy with it. You basically look at anything, you press E, and it opens this up. You can access health potions, mana potions, food buffs, many of your spells, your companions' abilities. They will use abilities on their own when they kind of feel it's right, but you can yell at them like, one of the guys has an ability that's like roost. I can yell at him like while I'm dodging backward, like roost this guy, and he will do it while I'm backing up, and then I can just start, filling the dude with lead because, wizard with a gun. So the radial menu, I forgot to write anything down about that, but it's really good. But going back to like class design, your design is your equipment, your stats right here, and what abilities you take. You can sink multiple points into an ability to make it better. Magic missiles fires 3 missiles. I've got 2 points in it. Now it fires 5 missiles, etc. This is a shield I can put on myself that cuts incoming damage by half for 20 seconds. And at rank 2, it reflects bullets and arrows. So, I've got 2 points in that. The ability to parry is actually right here. So anyone, no matter how you're playing, can put 1 point there, and you got the ability to parry. So again, it rewards multi-classing. You're not confined to one thing. You can be all over the place. The companions have a few small choices that you can get as well, which is nice. Godlike, I'm not going to click on that because it's not a huge spoiler, but there is a little bit of one. But Godlike is like abilities you unlock during the story related to your past and what is happening to you through the main story quest line. So that's how you kind of design your character. So yeah, build diversity is awesome. I'm basically running around right now with a gun primarily and swapping to a shield when I need to parry things and get them out of my face. and, you know, using mana when I need to, and bullets in between using mana. Also, your choices, yes, your choices that you make in the story, whether you realize it or not, affect what godlike abilities you're going to get. So there was a very early part of the story where I made a choice, and I just had my nose up in the air, and some people in chat were like, what? Why would you? I've never seen anybody do that. And I got a different ability than a lot of people in chat got when they played past that point. So your choices affect the game, and I love that, because that gives the game replayability. Banter between party members. This is very high praise. These two talking script to each other. These are homies. They've worked together before. They've gotten each other nearly killed in the past, and they constantly talk script to each other. And it reminds me a little bit of like Alistair from Dragon Age Origins. Now, not quite. Alistair's on a very high pedestal, but it reminds me of like him and some of the other party members talking crap to each other, and I love it. They are gems, and I love them, and they're fantastic. Good writing between the two of them when they're talking smack to each other. The story itself has been good so far. Again, I'm about 10 hours in. I've been doing a lot of side quests and a lot of wandering around. Like, there was one point where I was like going to a side quest and I got distracted by a lizard camp, and then I ended up in a spider cave and fighting the spiders, and I came out a rear exit of the cave and there was bears, and I fought them, and then there were more lizards. Then there was a lizard camp that had tamed a bear, and then I was like, oh man, I've been going in the wrong direction for like an hour. And it rewards you for doing that. You know, you'll find a lot of treasures in the open world. You'll get more materials you can use. If you have a weapon you like, but it's like a low-level version of the weapon, when you rest in your camp, you have a workbench, and you can go to the workbench and take all the random wood and metal and stuff that you have found while you've been out in the wilderness, and you can use it to upgrade your weapon's level. And so like this, you know, gun I'm using, because it's the one weapon I've kind of stuck with. My other weapon set I've been changing a lot, but this gun I've upgraded it 4 times. It started at the beginning, it was doing like what was it, like 20 or 30 damage, and now it's doing 123 because I've upgraded it like 3 times. And it's just, you know, branches and herbs and stuff like that or something. Additionally, you can salvage things. So if I mouse over this and hold the R key, it just became an iron chunk. So you can break loot you don't need. If you're like encumbered and you want to just make some space and get some materials, you can do that. It's like, I'm never going to use a shield right here, so I'll break that, for example. So that's really good. The exploration of parkour. Exploration is pretty good in the game. So can I show an example of that? So like if I run over here and then I just kind of hop over this rock, you know, jump up this. You can see you kind of pull yourself up, right? So there is a bit of parkour in the game where you can go up to things that are about up to your head, and you can just like pull yourself up. Like I can't climb up that. That's too rocky. I can't get up that. But you can parkour over a lot of things. It's pretty good. It's not too bad. There's a few points where like you might like get in a weird stuck thing and you kind of need to like jump to get unstuck. The party members' AI is pretty good too. Like if they're like on a ledge and an enemy's on a ledge, they're smart enough to hop down, run over, climb up, and then punch the enemy in the face. You know, their pathing is pretty good. One time in the last 10 hours, I saw this guy get stuck. And when I order him to use one of his abilities, if he's not in range of the enemy, if I'm like, you shoot that guy in the face, if he's not in range, he'll teleport within like 5 feet of the guy and then blast him in the face. And I use that to get him unstuck. Saw it once in a 10-hour period. So, and that's on the, you know, full release version of the game. Okay, do I have anything negative to say? All right, buckle up. Here we go. The mana system. The mana system in this game uses something called essence. Let me move my camera slightly. Okay, underneath my camera, there's a red bar. That's my health. The purple bar is essence. So if I fell, my essence went down. It does not regenerate. If you want it to regenerate, there's a few things you can do. You can consume a food that gives you essence. So I'm going to do that. Now, that extra is not wasted. And it took me a while to understand this. You see right there? There is like a red buff for food and a purple buff further down for the essence. So any of the, you notice it filled up the essence and that buff is still there. It's kind of like a stockpile. So if I'm in combat or something and I use some essence, it will drain more of that food from my stomach to refill the bar. So you can eat like, 42 grapes and 3 avocados or something and have kind of a stockpile of health and mana. And then when you're in combat and you're getting wailed on, it will slowly pull from that food source to fill your bars back up. It's not like super fast. A health potion is faster. If you get in trouble, using a potion is faster. But it's also, potions are not instant, but they're quite fast. Also, I never said this, I'm playing on the maximum difficulty. It was called like Path of the Damned or something like that. And at the beginning, it was no joke. The very first, I forgot I had picked that difficulty because I was just being silly for my audience. And the very first enemy was like a kobold-looking guy, like a little lizard man, and he two-shot me. And I went into that, you know, you have one more chance mode. And I was like, oh geez, you know, I got to start parrying and dodging and stuff like that. And you know, it's been fun. You know, you don't have to play it like that, but it's been fun for me because I have to take it seriously, and it keeps me, you know, very focused on the game. But yeah, I'm 10 hours in on the highest difficulty as well. I should say that also. All right, so the mana system. This is not a bug. This is a design decision. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that I have to just eat tons of food or potions. Also, I should say when you kill an enemy, you get a very, very tiny amount of essence back. So if you kill a bunch of enemies without using essence, melee weapons, bow or gun, you will get a teeny little bit back. But I gotta kill like 5 to 6 enemies to do like one big spell. So it's not a huge amount. So you know, I'm dealing with it. You know, it's fine, but I definitely prefer a system where your mana like regenerates over time. I am hoping that I'll find some item later on, like a ring that gives mana regen, even if a very slow amount. I'm hoping to find something like that. I did find a ring that gives health regen. It's called like Coral Ring, and it gives health regen when you're wet. So anytime you see like a pool of water, you could just kind of stand in it for a minute and it'll recover any missing health if you want to do that. So I haven't found anything like that for mana though. I'm hoping to. All right, the next thing. This is me saying something quite negative. The leashing. The game has leashing. And if you don't know what that is, basically it means like a monster has a spawn point. And if you move the monster more than, I'm gonna make up a number here, let's say 50 feet from its spawn point, it will turn around, it'll stop chasing you and start running back. Now in some games, leashing, if you leash the monster, it immediately shoots to full health so that you can't abuse it. At the time of this recording, when you get a monster too far from its spawn point in this game, it does not immediately shoot to full health. It starts running back, and I think if it gets all the way back, it starts healing. So there were times when, not that I was trying to, but I'd be fighting some really tough mob and I'm kiting because it, you know, again, I'm playing on the max difficulty, so everything's kind of bullet spongy. And I'm kiting around and I'm shooting it and I accidentally hit the leash spot. And then it starts like, oh, I'm gonna leave. And then I take a step forward, it's like, I'm coming for you. And I take a step back and it's like, oh, I'm gonna leave. And I'm just like, oh, well, okay, this is easy. And I just keep kind of doing this and just blam, 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 blam. And I can kill literally anything like that. Now, you can just choose not to do that. I did it that one time because I was like, well, we're here at this point. But it is a thing. I would like to see the leashing completely removed from the game, or make it either they shoot to full health instantly, or it gives like make the leash 4 times the size, like make it absurd. But it's dumb. It feels weird when you hit that, and then they go brain dead, and then you can just do whatever you want to them. Okay, next thing I wrote down was the inventory screen. Okay, this is not terrible, but I don't really like it. Let's say I want to change this gun for something else. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna click on this spear and shoot. Okay, what was there? I think this dagger was there. Okay, so I need to hit left alt or this to swap them. Then I click on something and I could change it, okay? So you cannot click and drag. And if you click on something, it instantly replaces your main set. Okay, so that's the thing. You cannot click and drag or anything like that. It's fine. I don't love it. It makes it kind of weird. Like sometimes you want to like click on something to see the stats, and you're like, okay, what are the stats? Oh shoot, what was there? Okay, it was that, and you just have to get used to it. It's kind of odd. And it's like, ring, if you want to put something in the main hand and then put something else in the alt hand, you left click, right click. By the way, you can dual wield wands. You can dual wield sword and wand if you want, whatever. Things like that. So I don't love this interface. It's fine, it's serviceable, but it's one I'm not a fan of, so I wrote that down. Mobs getting stuck. Okay, I have seen people saying on like Twitter and stuff like that, like, so many mobs in the game just stand there and let you kill them and they're stupid. I have seen this one time. And this might be the exact same bug that I mentioned where I said he got stuck one time. But there was one time that I was fighting an ogre, big guy, very tough, could kill me in like 1 to 2 hits, and I'm locked in, doing my best to like dodge and avoid hits and keep, pelting him with my little rubber bullets, and he got stuck. Now, maybe I could have walked into his melee range and gotten him to like unstick, you know, or something like that. I wasn't gonna do that. He could kill me in one hit. So I was just standing at range and I'm like, okay, with my little pea shooter until I eventually killed him. So there was one guy, I got stuck in a leashing loop where it was a little wandering boss, and he went stupid and I killed him. And then there was an ogre that was kind of an early game mini boss that got stuck. He was just standing there. It wasn't a leash bug. And fortunately, again, I saw it once in 10 hours. Unfortunately, it was on a fight that was meant to be very challenging, so it was stupid. If it was just like a little spider getting stuck, it'd be like, okay, whatever, you know? So I did see that once in a 10-hour period. Okay, you're pretty early game. Man, it's not important, not worry. Oh, I'm just being honest. And honestly, because I've seen people saying like, oh, this game looks really dumb because like all the mobs just stand there and let you kill them. And I'm saying, no, that's not true. I'm saying I saw that once. It's not all the mobs. I've seen it one time. Lockpicking. There's no minigame, and lockpicks break every time you use them. I am going to find the blacksmith that forwards these lockpicks, and I am going to beat him over the head with a frying pan in Minecraft. So basically, like if you find a good lock, you have to, a good treasure chest, you just have to spend 3 lockpicks. So it's almost like they're a currency. Like when you pick up lockpicks and then you go to a chest, you spend lockpicks to open it. It's not bugged, it's not broken. I just think it's stupid, okay? Like, this whole thing where mining picks and chopping axes and fishing poles and lockpicks break constantly in games is like, ugh. And in this game, they didn't even make a lockpicking minigame. You know, they just completely skipped that. You know, I just came from playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That had a lockpicking minigame. So did KCD 1. So did every Elder Scrolls game, stuff like that. This one, there's not even a lockpicking minigame. It's just you walk up to a chest and you just shove lockpicks into it and then it opens up. You know, it'll just say, like, this requires 5 lockpicks to open. Fine. You know, so I'm not a fan. That's it. I'm just not a fan of that. Game crash. One time in 10 hours, I had a game crash. It was funny because there was like a pop-up error said something about Alabama game. I don't know why. Someone in chat recommended me to turn off ray tracing. I could never notice ray tracing, so I was like, okay, sure. So I opened my game back up. I turned off ray tracing. I relaunched the game and played another, like, you know, that was around the 6 or 7 hour mark. So it's been 3 to 4 hours since that happened. And I have not had it crash again since. I only saw it one time. Turned off ray tracing. Fingers crossed. Haven't seen it again. Jump and dodge. Okay, this is one of the biggest complaints I have about the game. Jump, dodge, and parkour are all the same key. Now, you can bind it to multiple buttons. I am used to having dodge in any game on the V key, and I hit it with my left thumb, because I got a big hand. Spacebar is for jump. The way it works is if you're moving forward and you hit space, it's a jump. If you are holding still, it's a jump. If you're moving left, it's a dodge. If you're moving right, it's a dodge. If you're moving back, it's a dodge. If you're facing a cliff or something you can climb on, it's parkour. Now, I don't mind parkour and jump being on the same button, but I sure as hell do not like dodge being on the same button. Because in combat, I have had times where I was, you know, getting beaten on, so my character is rapidly going from stunned to not, you know, stunned, not stunned, stunned, not stunned, and I'm frantically hitting the dodge key trying to get away from the attacker, and I'm doing this. And then I die. It's not happened a bunch, but it has happened. And I really dislike that, okay? That's probably one of my biggest, if I could change something about this game, it would be that. I wish that was not a thing. However, that is how it is right now. Cannot attack NPCs and change the story in that way unless it's scripted in. Okay, this is not necessarily a negative thing, but I put it here because for some people it could be a negative, all right? So what do I mean by that? Many people are saying, is this the new Skyrim? No, it's not. In Skyrim, in Morrowind, in Oblivion, you could go up to a critical quest NPC and you could kill them and it'll be like, the threads of fate have been severed. You can keep playing in this doomed world if you want. That's up to you. And you could just keep going, you know? This does not have that. In fact, there was one point kind of early on in the game where, you know, this person, and it was, I'm going to be very vague here because it's not my intention to spoil. A individual was like, hey, would you like power? And I'm like, and the options were like, yes, 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 or no. And I was like, no, I don't trust you. And they were like, what? I've only been nice to you. And I'm like, nah, this sounds too good to be true. And I just kept hitting no, 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 no. And I kind of expected a moment, if anyone who's ever played Baldur's Gate 3, the scene with the Githyanki Queen, where I offended this individual so much. I thought they were just gonna kill me and then it was gonna roll credits, like a bad end. But it eventually kind of turned back around and railroaded you back on the tracks. And it's like, oh, okay. I kind of wish there had just been like a bad end there, but all right. It does have freedom of choice in some moments. There are decisions I've already made in the first 10 hours where certain characters died as consequences of my actions. And I think that is good. But at the same time, this is not the freedom of a single player Elder Scrolls game. I am just saying that so you understand what you're getting into, right? You cannot just go up to, you know, just random guards and attack them or things like that. You can't. I mean, here, hold on. I really want to drive this point home here. So let's see this guy. He actually talked smack to me earlier. No effect, okay? Believe me, I've tried. No effect. On that note, no stealing. You can play a sneaky class, all right? There's a whole skill tree for it. And you can stealth, you can backstab, you can do like archery shots from stealth, and you like, or even the gun. Obviously, the gun is loud and it will alert everyone that you're there. But that first shot, you can get a huge bonus to damage if you do it, you know, when they don't detect you, stuff like that. But there's not really stealing or pickpocketing or anything like that. Like, you go in town, anything highlighted you could pick up. There was one moment where there was like a dead guy in town and some guards around him, and like there's a bloody weapon there, and I walked up and picked up the weapon, and they're like, hey, that's evidence. And someone's like, oh, it's fine. And they're like, he's the envoy, he's important, we can't go against him. And they're like, I guess we could solve the murder without the weapon. I was like, really? Like, you could pick up anything. And like, sometimes people will make like snarky comments on it, but they never stop you. There's never consequences to just picking up anything that's not, you know, glued down. It's fine. You know, there's tons of games that, you know, that are RPGs that don't have like stealing or anything like this. But this game feels so close to like, I can go into someone's house, talk to them. There's a treasure chest right next to them. It clearly belongs to them. I can spin 3 lock picks and just shove them into the lock until it opens and take all their belongings and leave. And they'll just be like, wow, rude. So, I mean, I feel like it's just odd. It's not game breaking, but basically if you see something highlighted, go nuts. No one cares. Go ahead, no one cares. All right, let's talk about misconceptions. This is some stuff that I have seen. This is stuff I don't really care about, but I've seen people complain about it, and we're gonna talk about it. It's a bullet point, all right? The game is woke. I don't agree with that so far. I'm 10 hours in. At the beginning, you can choose your pronouns. Do people say like he or she or whatever like that? That is fine. You know, if you're bothered by that, well, okay, find another game. But in this one, you know, I just said he because I'm a guy. I'm playing a guy. Boom, that's it. It was never really brought up again. No one came up. It wasn't like the blue lady from Dragon Age Veilguard that was running up and giving you unskippable quests about you know, how she wants to be gendered or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just you pick your character he or she at the beginning, and that's it. It never really comes up again in the first 10 hours. No, I don't even know if this game has romance. I haven't looked into that. No men or women have tried to get with me in the first 10 hours. Maybe I've been playing completely wrong. No one's, you know, been flirting with me, anything like that in the first 10 hours. There's been no woke agenda stuff that I can really label as such. So that's it. I'm just saying what I've seen. I have seen a rumor that no one in town walks around and it looks like a dead city. Not true, or they changed it. Because when I was in town, there were NPCs talking to each other at merchant stands, and there were NPCs walking around. There were. I would say the town could use more NPCs. It does seem like the number of NPCs in the town could be increased a bit. Like, it doesn't match how big the city is. They could probably add some more. If you're a Guild Wars 2 player, think not quite as barren as Kanang, but, you know, like halfway there. So that is a rumor, or it is no longer true, and that's how it is. The last thing I wrote down was it's the new Skyrim. No, it's not. It is not. It is a very fun RPG based on my time so far. I'm having a lot of fun designing my character, you know, swapping between skills, like, you know, using my gun. Someone gets too close, I cast a magic shield on myself, pull out a physical shield, and use the 2 of those to survive massive blows while yelling at my, you know, 2 teammates, you know, hey, root this guy, get him off me, stuff like that. I'm having an absolute blast playing it. You cannot run around and kill every NPC. The entire world is not a giant open world map. There are loading screens between maps, but within those areas, they are very large and expansive. So for example, almost my entire 10 hours so far has been this area that's colored in. Now, this is the first map's almost done, so I'm sure there's gonna be more maps, but my first almost 10 hours has just been this. Okay, so, you know, there was a couple of loading screens when I went into little dungeons, and I'm sure that there is going to be other maps after that. So it's not like that. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I think at that point I'm just kind of exhausted what I've had to say on that. But it's not the new Skyrim. I find it very fun. I find the writing solid, the combat enjoyable, the class design enjoyable. It's a game with a couple of bugs. I think $70 is a steep price tag. I would absolutely be fine paying 40 to 50 for this. However, it is free on Game Pass, and Game Pass is dirt freaking cheap. So if you are interested in this, hopefully I've helped answer your questions. If you were on the fence about getting it, maybe now you know enough that you can say, yes, I will, or no, I won't. And remember the Game Pass thing. I don't have a referral link or anything like that for this. I'm just doing like an early review. As always, I will do a full in-depth review when I finish the game over, everything I have to say on that. And I will see you then.